The Eagles got even more good news from their final practice today before, of course, heading to Brazil to take on Green Bay, with Nick Sirianni saying one offensive weapon looked unbelievable in person. Plus, hear why Vic Fangio was worried about the Packers' rushing attack more than Jordan Love, and why Quinyon Mitchell might be the key on Friday night. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. With just 3 days left before the Birds opener in Brazil, it's worth noting the last time these two teams played in an actual season opener was all the way back in 2010. Now, the Eagles might have lost that game 27-20, but it definitely laid the groundwork for the revamp of Michael Vick's career and a season that might have been the most exciting offensively in recent Eagles history. Fast forward to today, and the Eagles have finished up their final practice in Philadelphia before boarding that 10 a.m. American Airlines flight down to Brazil, which apparently has its own list of rules set in place by the Eagles to make sure the team avoids as much jet lag as possible, with Birds assistant GM telling the Philadelphia Inquirer yesterday, quote, "That's why a lot of emphasis has been put on the plane ride itself. The Eagles are staying in Philadelphia until Wednesday morning. Sao Paulo only being an hour ahead makes getting acclimated a lesser concern than, say, London, and are flying to Brazil on a Boeing 777, a larger plane than the one they flew to England in 2018. There will be an increased emphasis on hydration before, during, and then especially on the return flight home and nutrition. The Eagles have structured their flight time to arrive in Sao Paulo in time to have a meal and then get a normal amount of sleep before they hit the ground running Thursday before playing in Friday's game." The Inquirer also went on to report that the air quality from the record wildfires we talked about all week seems to be okay for now, and they're hoping it's not going to be a problem. Oh, and they also confirmed the Birds' black and white jersey choice was actually decided by Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie in a quote saying, "We chose the color. We sort of looked," and again, Jeffrey Lurie's leadership on this, Corinthians is the host team, right? They're black and white. That's their color scheme. And all throughout the stadium is black and white there. So we thought the uniform combination that we never worn before was a unique nod to them, and it got us away from the green jersey. I wouldn't say that we were prohibited from wearing the green jersey, anything like that. The uniqueness of the game, the uniqueness of the color combination was what made the decision. Now, I personally am less concerned with jersey colors and more concerned with the Packers offense. Curious what you're most concerned about for Friday's game. Is it playing in Brazil? Is it the Green Bay offense, Green Bay defense, our defense? Give me your comment right now. Now, for the Eagles' new DC, his concerns seem to be more focused around Josh Jacobs and the potential that he adds from a running perspective to an already lethal offense. Then, not saying he's not concerned about Jordan Love, but a little bit more than the Packers QB1.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem in defending their offense is they run it just as good as they throw it. So they have a really good mix on first and second down, run and play action, and it makes it hard to defend. And then you throw in what you alluded to of a scrambling mobile quarterback, it adds another dimension to it. And they're really tough to defend. They're run it and throw it equally well, and you throw in an athletic quarterback, and it'll be an all-day sucker.
This leaves one Eagles player who's definitely going to be under the microscope on Friday night in being rookie cornerback Quinyon Mitchell, who, of course, will not only play his first NFL game, but will be tasked with helping handle a Green Bay passing attack that isn't dominated by one receiver, but has plenty of great options for Love to throw to. And Mitchell, at least apparently, is expected to play almost every single snap and also move around Fangio's defense. Something the experienced DC told the media Quinyon he's ready for in his press conference this morning.
Yes, yes, and yes.
And what has he shown to kind of make you believe that?
He's just played good. You know, he's done a good job picking up his responsibilities, done a good job playing, and he will be out there.
Do you feel like your defense got enough on-field time to be properly ready for week one?
You never get enough, in my opinion. But, we certainly have had enough to be ready. Pretty quickly. Because we did play him at nickel early on, and he did fine in there. I do think for him personally, it would be good to lock in at one spot, because even though we've been very happy with his development and his learning abilities, he still is a rookie, and I do think if he can get comfortable at one spot, it would be to his benefit. But we may not be able to do that.
On the flip side, the Eagles' completely new offense will debut on Friday night with obviously high expectations, but the unknown part of having not seen Kellen Moore's offense, at least with the ones in the preseason, is at least a slight advantage, I think, although if you ask Kellen Moore, it's only a slight advantage for the first couple of games.
Yeah, a lot of people face this, obviously, in football in general, certainly in the NFL, where you're facing an opponent that has a lot of unknown, whether it be personnel or scheme. Obviously, ours is very focused on scheme, and so you draw awareness of the different, dots that you can connect with, whether it be coaches, players, all the different circumstances. But you understand early in the season, it's everyone deals with unknown in the NFL. It could be a returning group that has been together for 10 years. They're going to evolve in some capacity during the offseason. And so you definitely have to emphasize that there's going to be an element of new. You lean heavily on what you've invested a lot of time in, things that people feel confident with, understand what the tools are and what the adjustments need to be made throughout a game, and we understand that adjustment football will be a part of this.
Now, sticking with the offense, some good offensive news from practice yesterday was Dallas Goedert continued to be a full participant, which obviously speaks to his availability on Friday night. And apparently Saquon Barkley was so good on a couple of runs in the practice yesterday, according to the Birds head coach, that he had to take a moment just to be thankful 26 is even an Eagle.
I mean, he made a run at practice yesterday, and I just remember, like, I was wearing sunglasses. It was sunny out, just kind of taking my sunglasses off and looking at a couple coaches. I'm like, all right, this is awesome, that we got him here, not only for the play that he brings to the field and the cut that he made yesterday at practice, but also his leadership and the person that we have. And so, it's. I think you're so excited as a coach for everything. Obviously, you asked me about Saquon. I'm super excited for him. We're up here. We're in the team meeting today, and the words that came out of my mouth, "Hey, and we got to be ready Friday night." And like, wow, what an unbelievable to say. Hey, we got a game Friday night. Like, that gives me goosebumps to think about that. Like, Friday night football is what we all first. Those were my favorite players growing up.
Now, Sirianni wasn't the only person singing the praises of the Birds' new running back. How about Packers free agent addition safety Xavier McKinney raving about Barkley to the Green Bay media yesterday?
Yeah, we were. I actually was talking to him not too long ago. Just asking him how his camp was going, seeing how he was doing. We chatted a little bit, so yeah.
What makes him so good?
He's just dynamic with the ball. He's pretty much all you want, a back to do. Obviously, you've seen him just over the years, the things that he's done, when he has the ball in his hands, and even when he's, running routes. I've seen him run routes in practice and even some games. So he just can do it all. He's a special back, one-on-one.
Now, another question I have, at least from an offensive perspective, is how much are they going to utilize really brand new Eagle Jahan Dotson? I mean, he's only been in Philadelphia for 2.5 weeks now, and of course, he's been getting a crash course on Moore's new offense. However, the Eagles' new OC says he expects Dotson to be, quote, heavily involved and is someone to look out for versus the Packers secondary.
Obviously, I think everyone who went through the draft process saw the great talent that he was, and we were really, really excited about that opportunity. He'll be a great piece to our offensive process, and excited to let him kind of build that role as we go. Obviously, when you come in, during the season, I think you let him just keep growing, and we'll keep finding where that role presents itself. But he'll be certainly a nice aspect of this thing, and he'll be heavily involved.
Now, perhaps the biggest storyline from the entire game, at least from a 60,000-foot point of view, has to be Nick Sirianni, who, according to ESPN's Jeff Darlington, is under a tremendous amount of pressure to perform early and often in Philadelphia this year, going as far as calling the Eagles versus Packers opener the most important game of the NFL season for Week 1. And while I don't disagree, obviously Nick Sirianni is under a tremendous amount of pressure. Still, though, I am very curious to see how quickly this new-look Eagle offense and defense responds to their head coach. Although even the most ardent Sirianni haters can at least give him a little bit of credit for attacking the offseason like never before, with the Philadelphia Inquirer writing yesterday that Sirianni brought in legendary coaches from around American sports like Jay Wright, Don Staley, and Rick Pitino to help advise him on not only coaching the Eagles, but how to move on from last season's collapse. Nick's in kind of a tough position this year. If he starts slow, the fan base is going to unleash like never before. But if the Eagles get off to a quick start, if they beat the Green Bay Packers like I think they will, and maybe start off 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, and look good doing it, the love for Sirianni we had back in 2022 is going to come back in a really quick and big way. All of that would obviously come with a playoff berth, hopefully a deep playoff run, although if you believe NFL Network's Kyle Brandt in his playoff prediction this morning, the Eagles apparently aren't going to make the playoffs, as he has Dallas, Atlanta, the Rams, and Lions as division winners, with the Niners, Cardinals, and Bears as wildcard teams, and that means the Eagles would actually miss the postseason.
What?
which is probably the most bizarre prediction I've seen from any of the, national network talking heads. What would have to happen for the Eagles to not even be one of the top 7 teams in the NFC this year? Like, I was thinking about this before recording. It's got to be injuries. Is there any other way the Eagles don't make the playoffs besides injuries? Let me know down below. Now, again, the Eagles finished up practice today. It's their final practice in Philadelphia. They'll obviously sleep in their normal home beds tonight and then board a 10 a.m. flight to Brazil. That's the 10-hour flight we talked about a lot the past couple of days. Land in Brazil at 10 p.m. on Wednesday night and then go through a walkthrough Thursday, community event before playing on Friday's game. We'll have all the coverage, of course, actually following the Eagles as they get to Brazil tomorrow and Thursday, and then call the game, myself and Josh Davis, on our channels Friday night. Come join us, especially go have Peacock. A lot of stuff still going on. It's game week for the Birds. I'm Thomas Moss. This has been the Thomas Moss Show.